All right, we'll get started in a moment. Just a second, guys. All right. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well. It's me, Julianna Barnes, president of Cuyamaca. I'm really happy to see all of you in your little Zoom boxes here. As you see, I'm here sitting on our lovely grand lawn remotely, or we might call it the Central Park, but I think lovingly we love to call it the Grand Lawn. So welcome. Thank you for tuning in today, everyone, to our virtual town hall meeting. I'm really excited to be able to join with you. I've had an opportunity to Zoom with many of you over the last several weeks by way of Zoom, and I've popped into quite a few meetings. But I was really excited to be able to have this virtual forum with the college community. Um, I do want to acknowledge that we also have a student forum coming up right after this at noon that will be hosted by Dr. Jessica Robinson, our VP of Student Services. And I know we have some other special guests. Kyrie McOgay, our Associated Student President, will be speaking. Josh Franco, our wonderful faculty member, will be speaking, and I think Mariah Gonzalez Meeks as well. So this particular town hall is designed for our employees. If we have some students that logged on, that's fine, but we'll be focused more so on the employees, and we'll look forward to having the students log in at noon for the student forum immediately after this one. Also, you do see that we have an interpreter, so thank you for joining us as well. Let's go ahead and move on and talk about the town hall format. So go ahead, Valerie. With regard to the format, we do have our moderator, and that's Christiane Pinanuri, our Director of College and Community Relations. So we will be pausing throughout this town hall to answer any questions that you might have. We'll see if you have any suggestions and comments. So we will pause periodically throughout this town hall to address some of what you're sharing on the chat. This town hall is being recorded. It will be closed captioned as well, and it will be posted at a later date if you wanted to come back to it, or for those individuals who weren't able to join us today. The devices, as you see, your devices have been muted. There are a large number of participants, so that we're able to flow through this with ease. We have muted you, and we will again be using the chat room to communicate with you with this particular town hall. So please do use that chat. And as mentioned, we will be looking at the questions throughout. Go ahead, Valerie. And so next, I just want to start off by, just sharing my gratitude. I can't thank you enough. I feel like I'm always sharing this because it's really heartfelt, and I think it's important. I understand that this has not been easy for anyone. I know that everyone is juggling not only our professional lives and really trying to do what we can to take care of our students and one another in our professional world, but we're also having to grapple with, our own personal lives. And I think we all acknowledge that. I almost broke down at Albertsons across the street from the college right before the stay-at-home order because I couldn't find toilet paper. I just wanted a roll of toilet paper, and the manager actually took me in the back and gave me a roll of toilet paper. And so and that's just that's something we're all struggling with, and obviously that's the least of our worries is a roll of toilet paper. But the reality is that we're really trying to balance our professional lives, our personal lives, and it's this pandemic has really rocked us in ways that we can't even describe. So I thank you all for balancing these two things, your professional and personal lives and worlds, but really, again, keeping your eye on the prize with regard to our students. I said this in one of my memos that I sent to you not that long ago. It's really the values that we live and breathe every day at Cuyamaca that we see inscribed in the cement in our student quad, whether it be collaborative, student-centered, innovative, dedicated. Those values, those deeply ingrained values that live and breathe within us every day, those same values are really sustaining us through this trying time. So again, I just wanted to acknowledge you guys for all the great work that you've done, that you continue to do during these difficult times. It's a seemingly impossible feat, but that you've done it, and you've done it successfully. I know it doesn't always feel that way, but in light of the current situation, we have exceeded, you know, all expectations. So again, thank you so much. I just want to say next, for the remainder of this town hall, I want to focus on a few things. I want to focus a little bit and just reflect upon what Paul Carmona calls the great shift, moving to a remote modality, an online remote modality in about 2 weeks flat. And so I wanted to focus a little bit on that and do some reflections on that. I want to talk a little bit about the new virtual reality, this new normal that we're currently thriving in and living in. And then I want to conclude with just a peekaboo look at what's on the horizon in the future beyond this semester. And we'll talk a little bit about commencement, we'll talk a little bit about summer, and a little bit about next year. We will have future opportunities to engage in this type of a format, and we will focus a little bit more on the future in those future sessions. And again, throughout, I do want to hear your suggestions. I want to hear your comments. I want to hear, you know, any thoughts that you have to make this virtual reality better for our students and for our employees. So please do chime in. So as we all know, this seems like so long ago. I know exactly where I was. I was actually still in the office. It was a Thursday evening, just after 6 o'clock, when the governor issued the stay-at-home order. And basically directed all individuals to stay at home unless there was an essential need to leave the home. And obviously we all know about this. And I know a lot of people were blindsided by the quick nature of this, as I was, and everyone was. And the bottom line is we had, you know, less than a 6-hour notice to stay at home. And so we found ourselves either without the things that we needed from work or things that we needed in our personal lives and that kind of thing. And so obviously we've all been trying to navigate that. And obviously at the college end, we really are working hard to be sure that we are following this mandate with regard to our employees and our students and our public. And so I thank you all for being flexible with this. And I know it's, again, not been easy to have that directive and not have the items that perhaps you wish to have. So obviously this occurred, and then here it was. Go ahead, Valerie. We have the great shift that occurred. So I just wanted us to reflect on this. So, you know, we're living and breathing in this virtual reality, and, you know, I know for me, I'm still trying to set up shop at home, trying to figure out the most comfortable space to spread out my belongings and that kind of thing. But I just wanted us to reflect upon what we achieved in a very, very short period of time. We have moved all of our instruction, all of our academic and student support services, and our operations offsite in a remote modality in about 2 weeks flat. So if you're feeling tired and drained, there's a reason why. That includes moving over 9,000 students and hundreds of employees offsite. We have 766 sections that are now being transitioned, have been transitioned to a remote modality or online. And over a dozen academic and student supports. And then all of our college operations are now offsite, instructional operations, switchboard, cashiers, and the like, all offsite in 2 weeks flat. Certainly, it's not foolproof. We didn't have a manual to do this, and it's been a little crazy, you know, just to say the least. But look at the magnitude of what we did. And Kim, I'm gonna repeat something that Kim Dudzik said at an earlier meeting, that students are sharing with us, including our staff and our faculty, that they're so appreciative of the fact that we have been able to provide this opportunity to them. It gives them a sense of normalcy, direction, purpose, and even if, you know, the class is not up to par according to the standards that we set for ourselves, because we're used to being innovative and intentional and this kind of thing, and we've had to throw all of this together. Our students appreciate it, and, you know, again, we've given them this beacon of hope, this bit of normalcy in this very chaotic time. And what a beautiful gift, you know, that we've been able. Somebody told me I was going to get, you know, I was going to get a little teary-eyed, and I'm not surprised that I am, but just know it's heartfelt, guys. You guys have worked so hard, and our students appreciate it, and so do I. Oh my God. So thank you, the great shift, and thanks Paul Carmona for coining that term, because I think that's a beautiful way to say it. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on here. So now the new normal, our virtual college. Kim Dudzik, I didn't tell you that I was going to use your picture. So here we are. We made this great transition, and here we're living in this new virtual college, the new normal. We've again all set up shop at home. This is Kim Dudzik's shop at her home. This is her home office. I know that the district is asking for people to send little pictures of their home office and how they've set it up, and they're highlighting that each day. So feel free to pop Ann or Christiane a message if you want to highlight your home office. And so obviously Canvas, Zoom, our various devices, whether it's our mobile devices or our laptops, these are our everyday tools that we're using right now in this new normal, in this virtual reality. You'll see there's a little picture there of the Zoom meeting with President's Cabinet, and I know many of us are spending hours upon hours a day in this Zoom environment. And honestly, you know, the reality is we are social beings, and we crave human interaction. And so, you know, in a way, Zoom is our lifeline, our professional and our social lifeline with one another. And we are, you know, utilizing that to a large extent. So here we are in this new virtual reality. Students our faculty are teaching, students are learning, students are receiving supports from the various entities, and then we're starting to transition into our focus once again with regard to our mission and our vision focused on student success and equity. This week alone, we had some of our governance councils were meeting, our IEC, our CCC met. I know ILAT, ALAT, and so a lot of the various committees and councils have already been meeting. And so, you know, we're starting to settle into the new reality. And I think there's various levels of interest in even, you know, focusing on anything else. But I mean, even yesterday I was focusing on our construction projects at the college. And I was like, wow, how refreshing this is to actually focus on, you know, a construction project, because, you know, we've been so consumed by this, this crisis, and rightfully so. But again, we're starting to shift into, you know, our new normal. And so I'm going to maybe pause there, and then Valerie and Christiane, maybe we'll kind of take off the slides, and we're going to go into the chat room just to see kind of any thoughts that are coming up, any suggestions that are being made, any initial questions that folks have, any stories that people are telling about, you know, the great shift or the new reality that you're experiencing right now. So let me ask Christiane, our moderator, to help me with sharing with what we're seeing in the chat room right now.
Hey, Julie, thanks. And hi, everybody. Well, the number one thing that's happening in the chat room is that apparently we all need to be sending photos of our home animals to Kim Dudzik. So everybody make sure that you snap a photo That sounds like a great thing to me. And if you would loop me into those, I'd love to be sharing them on social media, because one thing we're seeing is that we need some good news stories out there. So please send some photos of your home animals. We know that it's a big shift for them too. In all seriousness, a question that we are seeing a bit in the chat room is, how about some access to campus? Looks like faculty have some needs.
Yeah. Yeah, so this obviously has come up, and we've been really trying to navigate this the governor's stay-at-home order and only having essential employees out and about. And so there's a list of essential employees and sectors that the governor released. As it relates to the college, we also have a list of essential employees, which is basically a dozen, positions or less to really ensure that our campus is safe. And so, as you can imagine, we have our safety folks. We do have some facilities projects still happening and that kind of thing. So here we are with this. It's a delicate situation because, again, of the stay-at-home order, but again, the needs that folks have. So what I want to say is that if you do have needs and they are critical needs, please let your respective supervisor, deans, or VPs know, and we will look at trying to coordinate a time that you could actually do that with really critical needs. That's already been happening in little small ways. We've really tried to keep people at bay, and that's because once the governor had that stay-at-home order, we had floods of people that wanted to come on campus. And right now we have very little security. We do not have custodial on campus at all. And the reality, guys, is that you probably have been reading and following along. Our community at Cuyamaca and the surrounding community, there's some clusters nearby. There's one that's less than a mile away. There's one that's a few miles away. And so, and as we've all been watching the news, it's spreading. And so I just want to say that unless it's absolutely critical, the answer is going to be no. But I would love to be able to organize a way to get the things that you absolutely need if you absolutely need these items. And I know people do. But again, it's a delicate balance because we are trying to make sure that we are abiding by the stay-at-home order. Last night, they said on the news that they're going to start ticketing people if they're not abiding by the stay-at-home order. And they're getting really strict about it, and that's because the spread is, we're starting to see the peak. So we really don't want a lot of people on campus. We're not going to be able to clean up after people. We're not going to be able to disinfect after people, and so that's a concern. That's a safety concern. So we will look at those critical needs and try to organize a way to do that. I know Kim Dudzik and I were talking about that today. So in the meanwhile, until which time we have a system, feel free to reach out to your respective supervisors or deans, and it'll get to the VPs, and we'll try to coordinate an effort. But in some cases, we might say no, we're not going to be able to accommodate that. Again, it's a fine balance with the pandemic and the real safety concern that we have with people being on campus, particularly if it's a lot of people. Okay.
Julie, we have another
All
question about how is project management happening through all of the construction. Can you give us a little update on that?
Sure. So construction is considered an essential sector, and it was the governor did delineate that, and it's in the order. And so our construction projects are able to move forward. And so we do have a lot of our the construction projects that we already had approved that have been scheduled are proceeding. So we do have that moving forward.
That sounds good. Thanks, Julie. Let's move on.
All right. So let's go ahead and move on, and we're going to talk about resources. So the next slide that we have to show you is our new virtual campus website. If you have not gone to this website, please, 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 please go to the website. Christian and others have been really actively working on this website, and it basically houses resources for students, for faculty, and then all of our employees on this website. And it's very dynamic. We're always adding new resources. If you have resources that you think would be useful for the college community or our students, please, by all means, pop us a line, me, Christian, and we could post these online for you. So if you haven't already seen the new virtual campus website, please go there. You can find it by just logging on to the Cuyamaca College homepage, and there is a link right there, right on the campus, and it'll direct you to the virtual campus website with the various resources. So we really encourage you to go there. I know before it was more about preventing COVID-19 and washing hands and social distancing, and those things still apply, but now it's really rich with a lot more resources. And then there's links to even more. So obviously there's the Canvas resource, which is very rich with resources that our faculty need to thrive in this online environment. So please take advantage of that website and check that out. What I wanted to highlight today, if we could go on to the next slide, is in particular are the resources that students need. And some of the ways that we've identified that is through a student survey that we recently issued to students. And also students are really communicating with us through our social media venue. But what we discovered in issuing the student survey, you see some of the results there, and we have a lot more results that we've actually been sharing with the various councils, but this is just a little high-level view of what some of the responses have been. 89% of the students have indicated that they currently have adequate internet access. And mind you, we acknowledge that the students who responded were responding because they had, access. So we acknowledge that there are students that still do have access, and I'll talk about that in a second. 66% of students have indicated that they use their cell phone or smartphone to access the internet. And interestingly, 20%, about a fifth of our students, actually use their phones to access their courses, their course materials, student support services. So we have about a fifth of them using their phones to basically thrive in this new virtual reality, which has implications obviously for technology needs for our students. And then we have about a third of them that are concerned about running out of data. They haven't had to use this much data in the past. One of the things that we did add to the student resource website is more resources on Wi-Fi hotspots and free and low-cost Wi-Fi. And so again, the students could find that in the virtual campus, and we're going to share that with them as well during the virtual town hall. By the way, we've also been in regular communication with our students, sending them information via email, pushing things out on social media as well. And so we've really been enjoying being able to have this communication with our students. Go ahead, Mel. So again, the monetary support for students. We acknowledge that our students have a lot of needs right now. I know a lot of people have needs right now, and we're seeing this, even with the unemployment rates, which, as we're reading about and hearing about on the news, the unemployment rate, but the rate at which people are asking for unemployment has exceeded that of that whatever we saw during the Great Depression. Sorry about that. And so obviously there's a lot of need out there. And obviously we're not able to provide all of that need, but to the extent that we can support students to stay in class and provide them with what they need to at minimum stay in class, we have a variety of initiatives that we have employed, and you'll see a couple of them here. One of them is a Cuyamaca Emergency Fund. The emergency fund application is now available. As I understand it, over 1,000 students have already applied for this in the last day or two. This emergency fund would provide checks to students, cash to students in the amount of $250 just to provide, some immediate needs that they may have, whether it's their data or whether it's technology or food or whatever it is. So it's a small amount of money, but we're hoping that would be helpful to our students right now in the amount of $250. In addition, district-wide, we are also issuing checks to students at the tune of $250 to promise scholars who receive the CCPG grant. So that's the former Board of Governor BOG fee waiver. So students who are promise students who are also CCPG, formerly BOG, are automatically going to get a check for $250. So we're really thrilled to be able to provide those monetary supports. And then there's more. If we could go ahead and look at the next one. The Foundation for Grossmont and Cuyamaca Colleges is also going to be giving direct support to students by way of an emergency support grant as well. They're currently accepting contributions for anyone who is able to contribute. I know Kim Dudzik, you sent that out to faculty if you're able to, and I understand not everybody is. But I know a lot of people have asked, like, how can I help? And so that is, there is an avenue there through the foundation. And then I threw in there as well, indirectly, it obviously it benefits students. There is a special fund for staff and faculty. There's many grants. For those of you who have been here for a while, you know that the foundation has put out kind of these innovation kind of grants for faculty and for staff. Given the new situation, that mini grant process is now going to be focused on ways in which staff and faculty needs that you may have that warrant additional funds to support students. And so you'll see that mini grant come out probably today. So please stay tuned for that mini grant for staff and faculty. And so in addition, a couple of other monetary supports for students, the California College Student Emergency Support Fund, there's millions of dollars actually in that fund at the state level, and that was also recently released. That one is $500 per student who meet eligibility. And so that is also posted on our social media and our website, and we've pushed that out to students. And then finally, in the region, the Region 10 community colleges are working with the San Diego Foundation. I know I participated in a recent survey for this, and they are looking at raising funds, or they're actively raising funds right now to support our students to provide laptops and connectivity for students, because we identified that as a big need at this time. So really thrilled that we're able to provide this monetary support to students, and then they could actually determine how they need to use that to support this new virtual reality. And then finally, and then I'm going to go into the chat room again. There are also some policy changes that I want to make sure that everyone is aware of, and we've been pushing this out to students and to our employees, but I know I'm also acknowledging the fact that we are all being inundated with so many emails and information, and sometimes it's really hard to keep track of all of this. So I just wanted to be sure that I pointed out that we have these policy changes that are coming down from the state. Really every day we're seeing new things, but there's a few that I just want to highlight. One are excused withdrawals from class. And so we are really trying to provide maximum flexibility to our students, not penalize our students for what's happening right now. And so students will be able to get an excused withdrawal from class and not have to count against them in terms of their academic progress. And so, and we are extending that deadline as well. And so there will be an excused withdrawal that, again, students won't be penalized. And then on the college end, we won't be penalized either. It won't count against our apportionment. And obviously that's not our major concern right now, but for students, this provides them that flexibility. There's also an automatic refund for enrollment fees for students who have to withdraw because of the situation, and understandably, that may happen. They will be refunded their enrollment fees, and that will happen automatically. So we're really thrilled about that as well. And then you see also an extension of deadlines for our pass, no pass, and then incomplete, which of course the student would have to work with their faculty with those incompletes. One thing I want to say as well about the pass, no pass is that we're seeing also, we're having a lot of conversation at the state level with the UCs and the CSUs. And the CSUs, the Cal State Universities, recently came out and said they would accept the pass, no pass toward major requirements, and also with the Golden Four. We still want to be sure that students are speaking with their counselors about this, but I think recently that guidance came out. We're going to make sure that you guys have that guidance. So the bottom line is we're really trying to support our students and give them that maximum flexibility to stay in class. And if again, these extenuating circumstances, which they are, if they don't allow students to stay in class, we want to be sure to refund them their fees. Okay. Let me stop there. Before we go to the next slide, Valerie, why don't we go ahead and then stop there and pause, and then I'll ask Christiane to let me know. I know there's a lot of activity in the chat room to see what questions do you have, related to these student supports, the grants, or other needs that you're seeing that students have. What suggestions do you have? Questions do you have? What are you seeing that we need to be aware of to better support our students? Christiane?
Julie, it sounds like we need to go back and talk through the process on the pass, no pass versus grades. We need to get a little bit of clarity on that. So if you could just dive into what that process looks like.
Okay. I am going to have to defer to Jessica and her team on that, because we already, students, when they are registering for the class on WebAdvisor, they have the option of, selecting pass, no pass. And so that process is now being, extended. So let me see if I have the answer here.
Julie,
okay,
I think
so
we can ask Valerie to unmute Jessica.
Okay, so I'm seeing that there are forms online on their student resource site, and students could find the forms and process there. But if Jessica is on the line, and let's see, Jessica, can we unmute her?
Hi, yes,
Valerie?
I'm here. Thank you, President
Okay.
Barnes. Thanks, Julie.
Yeah.
I am here, thank you. And I did chat in here, Greg Vega, I know that you're in the room, and I know that Ari's in the room too, in regards to typing specifics. In general, there is on our main now virtual campus page, there's a ton of information in regards to admissions and records, and in regards to the pass, no pass, the W, the EW. We have extended the deadline, as many know, to June 1st for the W or the EW. For pass, no pass, it's not blanketed. We are looking at, and the CSUs and the UCs have relaxed their requirements a little bit in regards to transfer students and the such. But we are looking at this and would like to look at this in conjunction with the counselors, in conjunction with admissions and records. And so we urge you all to take a look at the admissions and records site. There's a lot of very easy links that are clickable, that take you to forms, that take you to information. I thought Greg was on here and Ari was on here to type in, to chime in. They might in a moment, just to give more detailed. Oh, hi, Ari is here. But those links are really good and really important. We're always hesitant to give a blanket statement for every single student because student circumstances are different. But there's a ton of information on the admissions and records, easy to gather and get to information.
Thank you for that.
Thank you, Jessica. Another question we have is about, apparently there's some computers that are in surplus, and a suggestion to perhaps loan these out to students who are in need. Is this an option or something we could consider?
So I wasn't aware of computers in surplus. I did hear that we had some computers that may be obsolete. And I think Carrie had shared that information. I could, obviously, if we had computers on campus, we would want to issue those, but we did issue computers to quite a few staff who needed that for our remote operations, for example, financial aid, admissions and records, counseling, and that kind of thing. But it was my understanding that we did not have a stockpile of computers on campus issued to students, hence looking at these grants that we're providing to students through the various foundations, including the San Diego Foundation here. But that's certainly something that I would want to take a look at. Oh, I see Sherry's on there. So she's saying that they can't support Windows 10 is what's happening with those. But we'll keep in communication with our technology folks. And if there was something on campus, we would want to issue those. But otherwise, we're looking at other ways to support students' technology needs.
Another question we have about student support is student access to the library. Specifically, it looks like books that are in the, sorry, the chat's going so fast now, I've lost the question. Students that are in the reserve section. And I don't know that we have an answer to that, Julie, but I'm sure we could commit to getting an answer.
Yeah, and I would defer to Carrie on that one in terms of access to our reserves in the library and what that would look like. So we'll get an answer out on that one, and if Carrie chimes in before the end of the webinar, we'll go ahead and give you that response. Okay. Any others with regard to student supports? Okay.
I think that's kind of a big brush, Adam, right now. Let's move on to employees.
Okay. All right. And then I do want to say that, obviously there's a lot of questions and a lot happening in the chat that we're not going to be able to get to all of these. And so what we're going to do is look for themes, questions that you might have, and then we'll get back to you. We'll have like a Q&A on the employee website. And so if there's some themes that we see with regard to the questions that you're asking, we'll respond to those on the resource site that I shared with you earlier. Actually, you'll see it right here. So we will post these on this employee resource website. As I mentioned too, we will have additional opportunities to have these town halls with you, and I will be asking in advance of the next town hall for your questions, so that we're, I come prepared with my team to respond to your questions. So today it was more about providing information and bringing everybody up to speed with where we are. So going to our employee resources, as mentioned, we also have our employee resource website, and there's a specific one for faculty. And then when you dig in, particularly to the faculty site, you'll see a lot of resources there to support faculty with Canvas, with Zoom, and a lot of other resources. So please check it out. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge right now Jody Reed and Rhonda Bauerlein for all of the work that they have done to support our faculty and others in this transition. They have been phenomenal. And even before this stay-at-home order, as we're starting to, prepare, I know that they just work feverishly to support our faculty as they made this transition. I also want to thank, there's 60 plus faculty members at our college who have volunteered to serve as mentors to help their colleagues with this transition to Canvas, with using Zoom. And I know that in the Canvas shell, you'll see the variety, the 60 plus faculty members from Cuyamaca who have volunteered to serve as mentors. And I even saw that there's some that have schedules where you can immediately get some help. So thank you in particular to Jody and to Rhonda, and I know there's others, and I'm going to miss people. Sherry Broxma, all of our technology, techie folks for really helping to support this transition. It's beautiful that we have you, that we have your expertise. But I mean, you did this not just with expertise in your mind, but also with love in your heart. So I really appreciate that. So again, a lot of employee resources. Please check it out, and we will continue to update them, and we'll add our Q&A on this employee resource page as well, so that you have that. Let's go ahead and turn our attention to what's on the horizon. So we have, let me stop there. Christian, I know we just had some Q&A, but as it relates to employees, we've really been working with our employees along the way, and our students were kind of hovering for a while until we kind of figured out what this transition looked like, and so now we've really turned our attention to our students. But with regard to our employees, I'm interested in hearing from our staff and our faculty. What are suggestions that you have to better support you in this new virtual reality? What suggestions do you have? What questions do you have? What needs are you hearing about with regard to this new virtual reality, and things that you need to thrive in this new normal? So I really do want to hear from our employees. Like, what do you need? How can we better communicate? How can we better provide you with what you need to thrive in this virtual reality? I'm eager to know. Anything coming in?
Julie, really, there's a lot of love for Rhonda and Jody on the thread
yay.
right now. There's
Oh,
so
good.
much love and cheering. I can hear it almost.
Yeah.
Not a lot of questions. I'm letting everyone kind of chime in. I asked anyone questions or concerns.
And we can come back to that then. Awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you. I'm
not
glad. A lot of
anything right
love
now
for
specific
Rhonda.
to employees. So let's
right.
let's move on to what's on the horizon.
Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and move Valerie into what's on the horizon. So obviously, we've gone through this great shift. We're still working out kinks with this great shift. We're starting to kind of settle into this new virtual reality, our new normal, while concurrently trying to work out the kinks. And again, I always want to know, what are those needs that you have? What are those suggestions? How can we better to support you in this new virtual reality? So please continue to share your thoughts there. While we're in this transition and while we're settling into this new reality, we would be remiss if we weren't taking a peek into the future. And so, as we all know, we've all been reading the news. We've been experiencing this, ourselves, for some people. Unfortunately, this health crisis has also kind of paved way, unfortunately, for what's being called an economic crisis. And so, people are experiencing this really horrible. They're experiencing this economic impact. Quite a few people, and it's not good. And again, this is not just our college, not just our district. This is the state of California. This is our nation that is experiencing this economic crisis while concurrently experiencing this pandemic, this health crisis, which is really unfortunate. One of the things that we want to be sure that we are doing is that we are planning for the future to ensure the fiscal stability of our college and our district. We were in a statewide webinar last week whereby the Legislative Analyst Office had provided, kind of a possible outlook with regard to our budgets next year, and we were asked to look at scenarios whereby we would cut our budget by 5, 10, or 15% next year. For every 5% in our district, it's about $6 million, and we were kind of hovering around the 10% rate, which would be about $12 million cut to our district budget next year. There is a little bit of relief coming with stimulus dollars, so we do see that, but we will all feel this impact. And this is not just our district. This is the nation. This is the state. This is the California community college system and our district and our college. We are all going to experience this, and we have to plan, and we have to plan now. So there has been some discussion about summer, about positions. And what I want to say is, again, every day there's new information. There's different dialogue about this. But what I want to say about summer 2020, I know several of us were on a phone call or a Zoom call this morning, or a Zoom meeting through DEC. The district executive council, Kim Dudzik, Natalia, and others were in that meeting from Cuyamaca College. And we did talk about summer. And so where we are with summer right now is that we will forge ahead with a scaled back summer session. It will be an online only summer session. And what we're looking at is only having the second session. So the second session begins on June 22nd and ends on July 30th. And so we will have a summer session. It will be scaled back and it will be online only. Pat Setzer is, if he hasn't already, he was also in the meeting. He will be communicating with the deans and the faculty and the academic senate. Kim Dudzik, again, she was involved with this as well, to talk about what does that mean? You know, what are the timelines? Which courses will go and which courses will not go? Of course, we want students to be able to complete their programs. We have partnerships, we have certifications and that kind of thing. So those are just some of the things that we're going to be looking at. And so stay tuned. So we're really happy to be able to have some level of summer. It's not going to be the robust summer that we've typically had, but given the financial situation, we're not going to be able to do that full summer, but we will be able to have a summer for our students. I really appreciate some of the comments that have been coming in. Students really see us as a beacon of light. We're open access institution, so I'm really happy that we are able to provide access and that we can retain that beacon of light status for our students in the summer. So I'm happy to be able to share that. And as mentioned, Pat Setzer will be working with the deans and the chairs to look at the summer and work out all the logistics for summer. So very happy about that. The other thing, just kind of taking a look forward into fiscal year 2021. Again, as mentioned, we are in a fiscal crisis, and we really want to be sure that we are fiscally sound next year. In order to do that, we will have to make very difficult decisions. We are committed to really making sure that our full-time folks are on board with us. Next year, we had a discussion about this at DEC earlier today, but the bottom line is we really want to be sure that the health of our organization is intact through this economic crisis that we're all experiencing at the national and state level. In order to do that, again, difficult decisions. That includes a freeze on positions. And so right now there are many positions that we have across the district, including at Cuyamaca College, that have already gone through the prioritization process and through the strategic hire process. They've been approved to hire. In some cases, we have positions that are already, we're in the middle of interviews. We already have the announcement out. Unfortunately, a large majority of these positions will be frozen. They will be put on hold until which time we have a clear indication of what the budget looks like next year. And then we'll determine how many of those we may be able to release, if any at all. There are some critical ones that we are committed to continuing forward with, but it will really just be a few at this time. So I will have a meeting next week with the leadership, with the academic and classified leadership and President's Cabinet to discuss the way forward with these positions. There's also going to be other tough, choices. A lot of our operating costs we're going to have to scale back. For example, with regard to travel, I know the chancellor's committed to revisiting the district and really trying to look at some efficiencies in the district and maybe reorganizing, and that could help us with this fiscal situation as well. So again, we're just starting discussions about 2021. But for starters, again, the summer, a scaled back summer, and a freeze on the positions, except the most critical positions will be employed at this point until which time we have broader conversations and until which time we have a clear picture on what the budget looks like for next year. The governor does come out with the budget. We have the May revise. And so we'll have a better picture then. And again, every day is new information. So as we get this information, we'll be able to communicate with you all and make these decisions based on that information. Okay. I'm going to go back to also mention on the horizon commencement. A lot of people have been asking about that. And it has been decided that we will be going, having commencement, but it will be a virtual commencement. It's a very difficult decision. I know it's an event that we all look forward to every year, that our students look forward to, our families and friends and loved ones look forward to celebrating with students. But given the pandemic and the unknown with regard to where we're going to be, that first week in June, we are opting to have a virtual commencement for our students, and that will be shared with students as well. So that's a little bit about what is on the horizon. And so I want to go ahead and ask Christiane if we could see about any questions that might be in the chat room related to any of that I just shared.
Julie, can you be a little more specific about how to proceed with positions that are currently in the interview process? We have a lot of questions about, should we proceed if we're in process, or should we stop the process now?
No, all positions, today, as of this morning, we're going to put a hold on all search processes. So, and the chancellor will put out a memo, and HR will be directed to put a hold on all the positions until which time we can communicate with our colleges. Now, there are some critical ones that we are still going to move forward with that we may need for. I'm going to give an example. We have our dean of athletics, so it's our athletic director, and so we need that to kind of certify our students and such. And so there are some that we will move forward with. It's just going to be a handful, but again, I'm not prepared to give you all the information, but until which time we have some clarity on what those criteria are and what the budget looks like, we're putting, I guess I could call it a soft freeze until which time we put a harder freeze on it. So we have to sort through that right now. Okay.
Julie, I think there's also some concern in the chat room around losing students in summer to other college campuses, to other community college campuses in the region. Do we have any idea what our peers are doing?
Yeah, we've actually been in communication with our peers on a regular basis. In fact, today at 4:00, all the Region 10 CEOs are going to be meeting again, and they're also looking at scaling back. So we're really trying to do this lockstep in our region. And so we will be communicating with our Region 10 colleagues this afternoon, and we've been in communication with them. And so they're facing, the same thing with regard to these major budget reductions.
Julie, I'm just going to do a little bit of quick cleanup. We have some onesies, twosies.
Sure.
Quickly. Sorry, I know we have 5 minutes. So a big question we have going on right now is, what about grant-funded positions? Are they also on hold? Do they fall into the same category?
Everything is on hold right now. And so, and again, when you say grant, I mean, there's restricted monies, some of which are grant funded positions or categorically funded positions. But as we know from 2008, 2009, most of our categorical programs had significant reductions. And so at this point in time, we're putting, I'll call it a soft freeze, this is just my language, a soft freeze until which time we can sort through what the positions are. And every position is going to have different variables and factors that we need to consider. But right now, all positions are going to be on hold, and we're going to move quickly. I know that I have meetings first thing on Monday about this very topic. I'm asking to meet with Kim Desick and Talia right away, hopefully on Monday. So we're going to move really quickly, and we'll communicate this out. But right now, we're putting a soft freeze on everything until which time we sort through this, and then we'll be able to kind of release some of those depending on what the positions are, and we will communicate out with the various chairs of the committees and departments who might have positions in the queue.
Julie, I'm getting a lot of texts and some private messages around layoffs. Can you address those issues?
Sure. So the chancellor made it very clear this morning at the DEC, the District Executive Council meetings, that, and I join her in this, that we will work very hard to not lay off our full-time employees, our contract employees. Likewise, I know that we also have a lot of part-time staff and faculty, and of course, we do not want to be in a position to do that. And so hence trying to make the decisions that we're trying to make right now that do not feel good, that do not feel fair. This is not going to be easy. This is, you know, people are likening the economy right now to the Great Depression or worse. Many of us were in the system when we had the economic downturn in 2008 and 2009. That was not pretty either. And so obviously we do not want to be in this position. We are in this position and hence needing to make some decisions now that feel really painful. Even with freezing positions, that I know there's a lot of anxiety around freezing positions and bringing new people on board. And I know for Cuyamaca, I know for a fact we need every single one of those positions. I had an initial discussion with President's Cabinet and said, we're not going to be able to hire all these positions. And President's Cabinet came back and told me exactly why we needed 100% of those positions. But we're not going to be able to afford all of those positions. And that has implications then for the employees that we currently have on our workforce, you see? And so these are not easy decisions. We are forced in the corner. This is our reality. There's an economic downturn, and that's why we're having to make these really difficult decisions right now. But the chancellor she does not want to go down that route, and she's committed to doing everything that she can. I'm committed to doing everything that I can so that we are not looking at a reduction in force. But again, very difficult decisions ahead in order to be in that place. Okay.
Julie, we have just 1 minute left, and I know a lot of us need to jump over to the student town hall, but maybe we could just wrap up with, are we going to do this again?
We are, and so stay tuned for a future town hall meeting. And I also mentioned in my newsletter, I'll be setting up office hours and what I'm calling virtual hall chats. I really miss seeing you guys in the hall, across the grand lawn, and the parking lot, and the quad, and stopping and chatting with you. So I just have these little quick bursts of 5 to 10 minute hall chats. If you wanted to come and say hi or chat with me or share, a suggestion or a question or gripe, whatever it is that you have, I will be setting those up in the coming weeks, and we'll send out another message about a future town hall. So I just want to leave you with, again, my thanks and my heartfelt gratitude. I'm sorry I broke down, but I know this has been so just trying for so many people, but as much as we, have these anxieties and these fears and just frustrations with everything that's happening, both, from an economic standpoint, from a health standpoint, from a personal, professional standpoint, even given all this, drama, I do want to say that I think this difficult time is going to be really marked by, our care, our compassion, our connection, these values again that run within us. And I can't tell you again how much I just so appreciate all of you. And I'm just really honored to be part of this beautiful community. You've really shown your true colors, and those true colors are just amazing and beautiful. So thank you so much, everyone, for participating today. I look forward to staying connected with you. Please reach out, stay connected with one another, students, with me. And so I look forward to some future settings where we can do that. Okay, so everyone have a great day, and we will be in touch. See ya.